Okay, so I wanted to make a quick video because I promised to make a video because I'm streaming this evening inside the DDT Discord, where I'm gonna explain the way I use order flow in my trading as a confluence for my trading ideas. So definitely be there this evening, and because that will be the stream, the focus will be on the order flow and the education of that. So therefore, I did not do a stream today covering BTC and the other watch list, so I'm quickly gonna do that now. What we have last week, we had the range got taken out with aggressive pushes higher, and now we have basically tab 1, tab 2. So a few things we can look at. Our main bullish structure from low up is still high low, basically this uptrend with higher lows and higher highs, and this is our last low that brought us into a new high. So this is our bullish swing low. So basically, until proven otherwise, any retracement here, even if you sweep that low but do not break below it, can be a higher low for a higher high for a continuation of the downtrend. However, we should not ignore that we are taking the highs over and over again, and this can also be potentially a distribution in the making. So what can also be the case is that you have your lower high here, then break your structure, and then have like 1, 2, 3 model 1, 2 distribution, or you make new highs by doing this, and then have a model 1 distribution. So a few different ways to look at it, not pinpointing what will happen, what must happen, just follow the local levels and then we can get our trades. Last week was one of the best weeks of trading, and this week is proving to be a good week again. Yesterday there was no trade for me. I watched Bitcoin and we created that bad weekly low where we have a good chance of taking out the weekly low. As you can see here, 92% of the weekly lows have a bigger wick. So that is this low, and it is also the range low of the new range that I've pulled, which is for me the classic. Let me show you range high, range low, tap off your mid range, validating the range. So now this is my range high, this is my range low. So main idea here is to look for accumulations by taking out that bad weekly low, and SFPing this low. You do not want to close below this low, so an SFP of that can offer longs. So basically look for longs at the range lows and look for shorts for either a lower high in this supply or just a similar play as the range lows, start deviating the range highs, break structure back to bearish, and you can play range rotations. So that is the main idea. So main levels I'm looking at is at the extreme levels, so extreme premium is this part of the range, extreme discount, this part of the range. In between, often you get chop. What I saw today when I started the trading day, I had marked out these supply zones. So this was my first short PY supply zone, and then this one is the higher up. And we tapped that level. So I had marked out this as the range to potentially look at, where we had basically this, and then locally we had 1, 2, 3, kind of like a 3-5 accumulation before pushing higher, but yeah, not really playable and was also during the night. But what got my attention more was the push into supply. So we had a super aggressive push into supply right here, and with a lot of volume. And this is where, surprise, surprise, MMT came into came very handy. And tonight I will explain how I use it per se. But here we could see it with the push early on. Like here was already a lot of activity, so a lot of delta. Also open interest increasing, buying. So I was already interested in the reaction if we swept that high. And then finally we got the sweep of that high with, here you can see it, a lot of positive delta. The indicator is also spiking up, so that means there's a lot of action going on. And if we zoom in, you can see it more clearly, which means that a lot of buying happened in this candle, which can also just be seen with the volume. A lot of buying right there. So there I was interested in, okay, can this potentially be a high? So if we pull the range with high, low, then we can pull the deviation threshold. Was this wick outside of the deviation threshold? No, it wasn't. So that is a valid tap 2. So we have tap 1, then this is your range low, this is your tap 2. And then during London, I took a local scalp right here. I got stopped out of that. Then later on, I was watching because I knew with a lot of buyers being trapped in this wick. So this cooled the moment they started to get positioned wrongly. So price goes lower than their entry. They can get underwater and then they could be forced to unwind their positions and just cascade lower, taking all the sell side liquidity. So during London, I took a little scalp right here, got stopped out on this move up. And then I took a new scalp, which was right here. Very low time frame trade. We took the high right there, broke local structure. So there I took a short like this. And then around 2R, I closed it out. Because it was during London and we still had like a London high, so low probability high. And just good to, for scalping to take profits a bit earlier. But then when I zoomed out a little bit more, I saw that this was potentially a 1, a 2, a 3 model 2 distribution with a lot of longs trapped inside here. We had a lot of sell side liquidity resting lower from this low, high, higher low, higher low, higher low. A lot of liquidity, so super clean liquidity trail. So this was, okay, let me make the profit I just made, which was 1R. Let's risk that on this short right here. So I already saw that we basically had local uptrend right here, high, higher low, high, high, higher low, high, high. Broke that back to bearish right here, and then I got a retest of this local supply zone. So that was where I took the short taken on this little drop, stop loss there, target. The main one was the range low, but I closed it at the daily open, which was, let's see, right here. So there I took it out for like a 3 arcane. So I entered right here. And then price started to indeed go lower. And the moment we started taking the first side of the liquidity trail, we went lower. Closed out for the 3R. All the longs that were buying here had to unwind and push price lower. Good idea to take out my profit because I went to the gym and just wanted to realize the profits. And then during New York, we basically came back for this liquidity and then sold off aggressively, eventually taking out the range low, which was the original target. So right now I'm looking at potentially this range cooled, flow over into an accumulation, but it really depends how price forms here. If we see some good buying, if price can hold here and then form like a good third tap, so 1, 2, 3, can either be the higher low or a move lower, then it could be potentially an accumulation, but for now I have to be careful. We have some supply created here, so it could also just be a lower high for a lower low. Also because we, on the lower side, not have super clean demand right here, and we still have that bad weekly low, which means that there's no wick on that weekly candle. So this is kind of a magnet for price to eventually clear. So can look for local shorts right here in the supply, although I think it's not really high probability, and can also look for potential accumulations if it's like really high probability. But overall we are in the middle of this main range. So anything what happens here is very locally, and I like to de-risk quickly, take profits earlier. That's also what I did today. So main idea is to just play the range extremes, which is right here and right here, and only play in the middle of it super clean. So that's basically BTC. And I want to quickly go over the others because I promised to tell about them. On hype, we have a distribution here with 1, 2, 3 model 1 going over into model 2 and then breaking down from the range. So basically this was the range, and then you can pull your deviation threshold. Red line is here. So this is now range, breakdown, retest, continuation is my main idea, where this whole move above was basically the deviation. So this is our main range. This was our deviation, and therefore I expect that the most likely outcome is to eventually move back to the range low right here. There are also some massive unlocks incoming, I believe. So that adds to the idea that there's some more sell pressure, aka more supply than demand. So lower prices are, in my opinion, likely. So I'm mostly interested in shorts from this zone. What could happen is that we have this range, low, high, tap one at the highs, tap one at the lows, sweep of the low, sweep of the high. So basically neutral, and now we start taking the lows. So this could potentially be a model 1, as long as this move does not close below the current low. I don't like it too much because this move is pretty aggressive, but we can watch what is the local structure. So we go basically low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So our bearish market structure is right here. So in order to confirm the model 1, you want at least to have a good close above here, create some demand, and then you can potentially look for a model 1 going over into model 2 for long back to the range high and potentially towards here, which offers a new short, but I don't like it too much. I think the context is more bearish than bullish, so be more careful with longs compared to shorts. Also here, if it goes lower, it can lose the range and it's super bearish. For Tao, it came here last week. We had the sweep of the market structure low. So basically, you have low, lower high. SFP means you get a rotation back to your high. Then started this local uptrend, which flipped back to bearish right here. And now we are simply ranging, where I'm watching this local range with the 3 drive, came back up. And now I'm looking for basically shorts by taking out the high into supply, look for shorts, or for longs, taking out extreme liquidity here. But preferably, I think this local 3 drive eventually ends up being just one tap. And this is then potentially tap 2, and then look for either model 2 or taking out that last low, and then see if we get like a model 1 right here to push price higher. So that are a few plans. And beside that, let's only do gold, and then we end it. Otherwise the video will be too long again, and I don't want it. Gold high time frame in a mega range. This is the range high, range low, or like took liquidity, all this local sell side liquidity into demand, creating the deviation and then pushing back higher. We have some big imbalances right here into the mid range, where also supply. So there's a reason eventually to still come there, but you already see that locally there is some exhaustion. We are taking the highs, but each time we take the high, strength is getting less and less. So price is failing to push above, and it eventually ends in an SFP each time, which means a weakness and potentially a rotation back to your lows. Then we also have a lot of sell side liquidity right here. So definitely reasons for price to eventually come back down. Then we also had like a 1, 2, 3 model 1 distribution. So I was super interested in shorts, but my main POI for shorts was a little bit higher, which is this fill of the imbalance right here into this supply. But just before hitting that, price internally formed a 3 drive, bearish 3 drive, which could have been shorted. Let's see, with tap 1, tap 2, tap 3, and then internal broke back to bearish, basically right here. So if you was at the screen, could have been a short. Technical target was this low, so the RR was pretty bad. But what I'm looking at right now is potentially the replica of last week, where the starting point of the range is a 1, 2, 3. So you have a model 1 distribution, and it can flow over potentially into an accumulation like this, and look again for model 2 or model 1 by making a new low, coming back up, mitigating that supply, and then potentially with a model 1 high time frame, a model 1, 1, 2, 3 going over into a model 2, taking out this extreme supply, and then going down 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be the dream scenario, although price action looks pretty heavy locally, so I'm not sure it will play out like this. But if it does, it will give the most opportunities. So yeah, alert at the range high and see how this locally develops. But the way price is coming down here is not, it's showing a lot of seller strength while creating supply. So buyers really need to step in here, hold this low, come back into supply, and then slow pull back for the good third tap creation. If that flips back to bullish, you can play the 1, 2, 3, very similar to last week with a good return to zone. 4 long back here and then look for shorts from there. So that's quickly what I'm watching for my main watch list. And yeah, beside that, I will share every updates in the Discord server. So you can see here locally, also during New York, there was quite some sell pressure. And also about the short I took earlier today. Like here, Magic, taking the short, the scalp longs. Why those positions were underwater and why that could cause price to sell off heavily, which it eventually did. So you can learn a lot from it. And beside that, this evening, the live stream will be recorded, will be hosted live in the Discord. So in the free stream zone. So make sure to be there and then I see you guys there. Thanks for watching and cheers.